Welcome to Home Farm. Today we're going to be redecorating our conservatory and we're going to be trying out this AllCoat exterior satin paint from Zinsser. We have spent the last week redecorating the inside of our conservatory, which has been a massive undertaking. Kirsten is still working on the inside. That explains why everything is upside down and a bit topsy-turvy. Today, what I'm going to be doing is I've turned my attention to the outside. We've had to wait for a window of opportunity in order to be able to work on the outside. Obviously, if you're going to be painting the wood, it can't be wet, you need dry conditions. So we've had a good spell of weather and we're expecting 3 or 4 days of sunshine, which means it's a perfect time for us to get stuck in and start treating this timber. As part of the maintenance work on the outside of the conservatory, we've had to tackle a number of things. The first thing that I started with was I had to put a new panel up at the top. The previous owners had used a chipboard or a plywood which was peeling, and this is a weather facing wall for us. The brunt of the weather comes across this way, so it gets absolutely hammered. So we needed to make sure that we built something that was going to be able to endure the elements. So what I did is I got some treated cladding which was tongue and groove. I put it all together and we then cut it to shape so that it actually fits the existing area. To make things as airtight and waterproof as possible, we used the sealant to get in around all of the edges. I then put a primer on the actual new cladding and I've applied 1 coat of Zinsser onto that. So far the Zinsser has been really great. It's been a really good product. It applies very smoothly and it's got a really good thick finish to it. As a side note on the sealant, we've used this external frame sealant from Everbuild. We've put it into all of the corners of the frames and around all of the edges. A lot of them have cracked and we've not been hugely impressed, and I'm not sure that we would actually recommend this. We have a lot of paint color swatch books, the ones that you kind of unfold. Kirsten spent quite a fair amount of time going through all of those and she eventually identified that the green-blue color from Farrow Ball was the closest color match to our PVC windows. Our PVC windows are Chartwell Green, so then she went online, ordered a pot that was specifically made up for us, and as we can see, the color match between the actual paint and the windows is pretty close. I know that I look like a bit of a state today, but when you're doing DIY work and painting, you're not going to look your best. At the end of the day, it's not a fashion show. We are actually getting some proper work done. So on that note, I'm going to get the paintbrush and I'm going to show you how the Zinsser applies to our wood. So that's it. It's taken us 2 days, but we have successfully painted the conservatory. Olive was a very big helper, as you can see. It's looking really great. We were very pleased with the Zinsser paint. We wanted to show you what it looks like. We still haven't finished the inside and the windows are still a little bit dirty, which we'll finish cleaning once the whole thing's done. But we just wanted to show you how the actual paint has worked, how it's applied, and just generally what the finish is like. Out of all the products we used, the Zinsser was by far the most consistent. It was very easy to use, and what I liked most about it is that when you applied it, it applied without any streaks and the finish was always consistently smooth. We can't speak about the color itself because this is a bespoke color. This is one that we ordered specifically for this project. But from our perspective, we like the color because it blends in with our PVC windows and with the general feel of the property. In terms of the finish, it actually feels very smooth and it's got like a silicone type finish to it. That's something that we think and we were hoping we were actually going to get, because the weather comes across from that side, so this is very much a portion of the property that gets a lot of wind and rain on it. So I think that this paint is going to make this watertight and weather resistant. Don't pay too much attention to the actual paintwork on the door and on the 2 open windows. We are having those replaced over the course of the next couple of months. So we applied 2 or 3 coats depending on which portion required it the most on the actual wood panels and at the top here. We also paid a lot of attention adding extra coats to the sill, and what I really liked about this paint is that even on the first pass, any cracks that were evident got filled, and by the time you applied the second pass they were completely gone. So hoping that with the application of that and the silicone type feel, we will have a lot of protection for our timber. So this is a satin finish, which means that it's got a sheen to it, which we can see here. So hopefully that will also reflect the sunshine and the sunlight, which will help preserve the wood. So this is the product that we used, and I just wanted to read out a couple of the key features with regards to this particular paint. The first one is that it's got a mold and algae resistant coating, which I think is quite important for properties in the UK. It's got the flexible film feature, which I kind of feel when you actually rub your hand over the finish, and it comes with a 15-year performance guarantee, so we'll see whether it does in fact last 15 years or whether we'll have to repaint it within a few years. In terms of paint usage, we still have about 3/4 of this tin left, and what might help you is that the dimensions of our garden room are 15 meters long by 4 meters wide. Obviously there are quite a lot of glass panels, but that should give you an idea of how much paint I used, given that we've applied 2 to 3 coats for the majority of the timber. I just wanted to nip around the corner and show you the cladding that we put up. When we painted this, there was already 8 coats of paint on here. The cladding that we put up was all raw wood, so it'll be interesting for you to compare the difference between painting on painted wood and on something that hadn't been painted at all. For the cladding, I put on a coat of white primer. Then I applied 3 coats of the Zinsser to the cladding and 3 coats here. And the reason that I did 3 on this portion of the garden room is because, as I mentioned earlier, all the wind and weather comes in from that side. So we wanted to give this portion of the garden room as much protection as possible. All in all, we've been very impressed with the Zinsser paint, and I hope that you have been able to see the results in this video. As mentioned earlier, we are going to be getting this window replaced. We will definitely be painting it with the same paint, so it's a good thing that we've got quite a lot left over, and that'll also be handy next year if we have to do any touch-ups or if we have to seal any cracks. I hope you found this video interesting. If you did, please subscribe and ring the bell. I'm now going to head inside and help Kirsten finish redecorating the inside of our garden room. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on our next video.